The Yule season in northern Europe spanned a period on either side of the winter solstice, and appears to have been closely associated with the god Odin, the All-Father. Odin is a complex god and a boundary-crossing figure, which may help to explain his association with this great turning point of the year. The very word Yule is thought by some to be connected with one of the names of Odin. And even to this day, if you want to wish someone Merry Christmas in the language of Norway or Denmark or many of the other lands of the far north, you say "God Jul." Here's an example of the song Silent Night, Holy Night in Norwegian, in which the lyrics are saying Glada Jul, Hellige Jul, or Glad Yule, Holy Yule. Other names of the god Odin include Mimir's friend, Wolf's enemy, Gunnlod's embrace, the wise victory tree, the raven tester, the bale worker, the spear lord, the longbeard, the hanged one, the hooded one, the masked one, the terrible one, the wise one, the concealer, the All-Father, the Yule Father, the Wanderer, the Awakener, the Truth Finder, the All-Wise, and the Sage. Odin is the god who sees through the surface appearances to the deep hidden heart of things, most clearly in his ordeal to gain the secret of the runes, but also in his quest to obtain the Mead of Poetry, as well as in his pursuit of the wisdom preserved among the oldest jotuns, the giants of Norse myth, whose time predated that of the gods, and who were the first beings before gods and men. One such quest is described in the Vafthrûdnismal, in the Poetic Edda, or Elder Edda, in which Odin seeks out the ancient Jotun Vafthrûdnir and engages the giant in a riddle contest. Of this episode, Professor Carolyn Larrington of Oxford says, Odin is characterized by his obsessive quest for wisdom, particularly for information about Ragnarok. In this poem, he sets off against his wife's advice, disguised as a poor wanderer, to test his wisdom against the giant Vafthrûdnir, known only from this poem. Once Odin has proved his mettle by answering questions which the giant puts to him, he is invited to risk his head in questioning the giant. Vafthrûdnir's sayings, Vafthrûdnismal, belongs to the genre of the wisdom contest, known in many other cultures. Two protagonists ask each other questions or riddles until one fails to answer. Thus, the questioner must know the answer to his question. The answerer corroborates the interlocutor's information rather than providing new facts. The trick question with which Odin wins the contest seems to be a favorite of his, since he also uses it to secure victory in a riddle contest against King Heidrek in Heidrek's saga. Vafthrûdnir's questions elicit simple mythological facts. The names of the horses who draw the day and the night, the name of the river which divides giants and gods, and of the field on which the battle of Ragnarok will be fought. Odin's questions are more pointed. He draws out the history of the universe, its past and present, culminating in questions about the future and Ragnarok. Some scholars have speculated that Odin's real aim is to discover his own fate. Once he hears about the wolf, he brings the contest to a speedy end with his unanswerable question. Odin alone knows what he whispered into Baldur's ear. As a contest between god and giant, Vafthrûdnir's sayings is mimetic of Ragnarok. Vafthrûdnir's answers emphasize the ancientness and authority of the giants as the first of beings, but Odin's questions lead away from the giants and their claims to the final triumph of gods and men. It is they, Odin's descendants and creations, if not Odin himself, who will survive the final conflagration. The giants may have had a past, but they have no future. Vafthrûdnir's defeat in the contest symbolizes the final defeat, in time, of the giant race. Note that the Norse myths thus portray the pursuit of wisdom as a process of seeing through riddles. Odin, in disguise, gives his name in this contest as Gangrather, or riddle reader. The very nature of a riddle is the requirement of being able to see beyond the literal meaning of the words or the surface description, to see connections and patterns that are not necessarily apparent on the surface. The God who's called in other places the All-Wise gives his name as the riddle reader. He's not content with surface or literal appearances. He's also the God of poetry, and poetry, by its very definition, eschews the literal and perceives and evokes hidden connections and pierces through surface appearances. Note how this tendency is the very opposite of the inability to see through the eye illusions prepared by the Jotun Utgarda-Loki in the episode of Thor's visit, accompanied by Loki and two mortal companions to the realm of Utgard, where even Thor's unmatched strength and power is defeated through illusion. That episode shows that if we believe lies about ourselves and about the world around us, we can be easily defeated, even if we're more than capable of overcoming those challenges based on our actual potential and ability. This is very much the situation that the people of virtually every nation on earth find ourselves at this very moment in history, living in a world of incredible abundance, but presented with the illusion of scarcity by the proponents of austerity who want to take that abundance for themselves and whose power depends on the inability to see beyond the literal and therefore the ability to see beyond the illusion. Their power depends on our inability to see beyond the literal and see beyond the illusion. So at this Yuletide season of the year, associated so closely in the northern lands with the god Odin in ancient times, the god who's obsessed with seeing beyond the literal, beyond the surface of things, the god who introduces himself as the riddle reader to the ancient Jotun Vafthrûdnir, we should think very carefully about what these ancient myths, this ancient wisdom given to humanity for our benefit and blessing in this life, these stories of Odin and Thor and their visits to the realm of the Jotuns mean for our lives in this very present moment. To read the riddles and start to see the connections that may not be obvious on the surface. The ancient myths actually present this as a matter of utmost importance, indeed a matter of life and death. And so, as they say in Norway and in other parts of the far northern region of our planet, Go Yule.